This is Focal Point with Brian Fisher on AFR Talk.
Hit the road, Jack. That's the word from the FBI to the Southern Poverty Law Center. Hit the road, SPLC. Looking at a story from the Washington Examiner today, Paul Bedard. The Southern Poverty Law Center, which has labeled several Washington-based family organizations as hate groups, and included in that list is the American Family Association. We're one of the groups that they identify on their website as a hate group for favoring traditional marriage. And let's be clear here. The reason that the SPLC classifies us as a hate group is that we support and defend natural marriage. And we resist the normalization of homosexual behavior. That's it. And according to the SPLC, that makes us a hate group. Well, I got news for the SPLC, and apparently the FBI agrees with me. This is just disagreement. We disagree with whoever runs the SPLC. We disagree with them on the issue of homosexuality. We disagree with them about the definition and the nature of marriage. But ladies and gentlemen, disagreement is not hatred. And the truth is not hate speech. And speaking the truth, declaring the truth, defending the truth is not a hate crime. But apparently in the fevered imagination of the SPLC, it is. If you disagree with us, says the SPLC, you are by definition a hater. And we have been appealing now, along with these other pro-family groups that have been tagged by them as hate groups, we've been appealing to the FBI, and the next step is the military, to bag their association with the SPLC. This is not a credible source for identifying groups as hate groups. If they're just going to make their criteria for identifying a hate group disagreement over the issue of homosexuality, well, then everybody in America that doesn't agree with them is by definition a hater, and that is clearly and obviously not true. Now let me pick up where I left off. Southern Poverty Law Center has been dumped as a resource on the FBI hate crime webpage, a significant rejection of the influential legal group. The webpage scrubbing was not announced and came in the last month after 15 family groups, that includes the AFA, American Family Association, and Family Research Council. We are the two most visible groups that were demonized by the SPLC as hate groups. But we have been pressing them over the last couple of months, pressing Attorney General Eric Holder and FBI Director James Comey to stop endorsing this group. And part of the reason, there's many reasons, but one of the reasons is that the SPLC inspired the first case of domestic terrorism, where a judge identified an act as an instance of domestic terrorism that was targeted at the Family Research Council. You remember that was a story where Floyd Corkins, he was a homosexual activist. He was asked, and he went into the offices at Family Research Council in Washington, D.C., and he intended to kill as many people as possible. That's what he confessed to the FBI. I went in there to kill as many people as possible. That is virtually a verbatim quote from Floyd Corkins. And the FBI says, well, how did you get on to the FRC? How did you decide to go in there? He had extra rounds of ammunition. He had a whole bunch of Chick-fil-A sandwiches. He was going to take a Chick-fil-A sandwich. He was going to shoot these people dead. And then he was going to take a Chick-fil-A sandwich and smear it on their dead faces. That's what this guy was going to do. And he got stopped by the guard at the front desk there at FRC. He himself was unarmed because of these ridiculous gun control laws in Washington, D.C. He had to defend himself and all the employees with his bare hands. He had to wrestle this guy to the ground and receive some significant and serious wounds as a result. So the FBI says to Floyd Corkins, well, how did you get on to the FRC? And he said, well, I went to the SPLC hate site website, and it identified the FRC as a group that hates homosexuals. and they got a map that showed me right where to get to their offices. So that's where I went, got inside, and started shooting people. So this is a huge, huge development. This is our winnable war moment for the day. I mean, this is significant, ladies and gentlemen. This is huge that the FBI has dumped the Southern Poverty Law Center as a credible source for identifying hate groups. They're gone. They're out of here. Their history, SPLC, is not on the FBI website any longer. They have been scrubbed. They have been rejected. As Washington Examiner says, this is a significant rejection of the influential legal group. So this is a very, very important development. You know, and the next step, I think, now is to put the same kind of pressure on the United States military, because the military, now they've said we are not going to use the SPLC's list of hate groups anymore, but they are still using the SPLC. They've admitted that they're still using the SPLC as a source for other pieces of information. They're still cited on military websites as a credible source of information about anti-government groups or whatever. And so if military trainers, if they go to the SPLC website to get information on areas or groups where the military says, hey, it's okay to look to them, they're going to find this list of hate groups. They're going to see FRC on there. They're going to see AFA on there. And the very minimum, it's going to raise severe questions in their mind about the nature of these groups that have been demonized by the SPLC. So the next step has got to be to get the military to scrub any connection with the SPLC altogether. Here's Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin. He's on the staff at FRC. Remember, he was one of the original Delta Force guys, 36 years in the military. He said this: he would like the U.S. government and its agencies to continue using, citing, or working with the SPLC. Agencies of the government at all levels, and specifically right now, it's been taken care of in law enforcement, at least with the FBI. Next step is with the United States military. And he says the media should stop citing the SPLC. This is a quote from Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin. We want the U.S. government to stop supporting and using the SPLC. They're now connected to domestic terrorism. And they were by a judge that sentences Floyd Corkins to 25 years in prison. And it was cited as an act of domestic terrorism, the first time a judge had assigned an incident to that category as domestic terrorism. So again, it's an indication of where the real hate is in this debate. I mean, there's no question there's hate and vitriol in this debate, but it's almost all coming from the homosexual lobby. Now, you got some lunatic fringe types like Fred Phelps, who mercifully has gone on to whatever he's going to run into as he stands before the judge of all the earth. Now, his group is still out there kind of banging on their pots and pans, but I think everybody's just kind of learning to tune them out and ignore them. So, yeah, there's some hate on the side of the debate that opposes the normalization of homosexuality, but it's confined to this crackpot church in Kansas. But in the rest of the pro-family community, there's no hatred. We resist the normalization of homosexuality. We are not anti-homosexual. We are anti-homosexuality. We are for homosexuals. We are pro-homosexual because we are for them. We want them to be delivered from the bondage of homosexuality. So our only beef, we are for them. We want the best for them. We want them to live long, healthy, prosperous lives. We want to see their sexual energies channeled in a life-giving direction. We want to see them married. We want to see them happy with families, with a bright future and all that. That's what we want for them because we love them. We know they're made in the image of God and that this is what they are capable of. So we don't hate anybody. But, yeah, this Floyd Corkins, I mean, here is hatred. Here's a guy taking a gun, going into a pro-family organization, never hurt anybody in their entire life, and he wants to waste as many of them as he possibly can. So, and he uses the SPLC as his inspiration and as his map to his targets. That's where he honed in on his targets. And, American Family Association, we have bulked up our security around here for exactly the same reason that the American Family Association is listed on the same map that Floyd Corkins used. It's listed on the same map as a hate group site. You want to take out some pro-family folks? Well, here's a map to show you where you can find them. So this is our winnable war moment for the day. The FBI. Now we haven't got to the military yet. That's the next step. But the FBI has completely scrubbed the SPLC as a credible source on their website, and that is very, very, very good news. So the next step then is going to be to extend this to the United States military. Now I want to shift gears, and we'll start talking a little bit about the Supreme Court hearing yesterday on the abortion issue. It had to do with Hobby Lobby and had to do with whether they can be forced to provide prescriptions that cause abortions. And we went over this extensively over the last couple of days, that all the medical literature, all the biological literature, all the science literature says that a human life begins at the moment of conception. So if you destroy a fertilized egg, you are destroying a human being at its earliest stages of development. And I came across a strange ally in all of this. This is kind of an amazing thing, that Margaret Sanger, who was the founder of Planned Parenthood. Well, let me save that for after the break. Let me save the story about Margaret Sanger and Planned Parenthood for after the break. One follow-up piece, I'll save that for after the break. One follow-up piece, a story we covered extensively yesterday, was the fact that there are 10 hospitals in the United Kingdom's healthcare system that are incinerating aborted babies and using their incinerated bodies to heat their hospitals over there. This is as barbaric and as savage as anything the Canaanites did to children in the days of Molech. Now, to me, this is a staggering story. I mean, the last time you think of bodies being thrown into ovens, when was that? That was Nazi Germany. That's the last time we read about bodies being thrown into ovens and burned to ash. And here you got it going on in what's supposed to be an enlightened, civilized country, the United Kingdom, crime eminently. What we've got here, we've been using the Holocaust analogy from the beginning. I mean, the total is now up to 56 million. And I don't know that any of us imagined the day when aborted babies would be used for fuel, burned, thrown into the ovens to provide heat for hospitals, but it's happened. Now, this has not received wide coverage in the United States. Again, the media covering up for this latest instance of the revival of the Holocaust, covering up, not doing anything with it. The UK media has done something with it, but outside the 5 on Fox yesterday afternoon, the American media has been virtually silent about throwing the bodies of babies into the furnaces. Back in 2.
3,